Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Marketing Soul #Marketers Talks, the show where we interact with the top intellects of the industry. Today, we have Neerja Kushwaha, who is a product manager in Deloitte Bangalore studio. Neerja is usually found bridging the design, engineering, and business teams. She is passionate about building products and experiences that delight people and enhance their productivity. She also enjoys visioning and co creating things with cross functional teams with an irrational focus on the user and the first principles thinking. For the last 11 years, she has been on an amazing journey of leading and executing product discoveries, creative designs, tactical engineering, planning, and tons of learning from user behavior and market trends. Welcome, Nirja, to the show. Glad to
Hi
have you
guys,
here.
I'm super excited to be here. Thank you, Sam, for this opportunity.
Its pleasure is all mine. Sir. Pleasure is mine, all mine. So, how has been the COVID so far for you?
COVID's been a roller coaster. COVID's been good. COVID's been bad. I don't know. I mean, I was happy that I got a lot of time to spend at home, which I usually wouldn't. But it was also just, restrictions on travel, there is the thin line between work and life was broken. You were working and you were also at home, so it's been a little different. But I think it's taught me a couple of things. Just that no matter what you plan for, you never know what's gonna happen. So we do a lot of planning, but nobody ever planned for a pandemic, right? And I think that is why it's extremely important for all of us to be very very resilient and very very proactive, because unless we are resilient, we can't uh, face what has happened, and unless we are proactive, we can't really adapt in an agile fashion to something else, like like education. For that matter, education in our country was all on physical locations, and now see, everybody's doing it online. So I think just being more resilient, being more positive, and accepting how things are, and by God's grace, being with my family for a long time, and again back to Bangalore. So yeah, it's been okay so far.
Perfect. Where are you right now? In the Bangalore or where?
I just arrived in Bangalore this weekend.
Okay, perfect. So can you share your journey as a marketer, maybe as a product manager, no, so that our audience can understand what exactly a product manager do.
Okay, so I am very organically built product manager, right? I mean, I never knew the title. I never knew what the title meant or what it said, or I didn't know I was a product manager for a very long time, because I come from a consulting company where you typically do services. So, the whole concept of project doesn't live there. Like, product is not there. So, when I very very young, like 5 6 years ago, as well, and I was whenever I used to think about a requirement or think about anything that I'm building, I always used to think about, what would I do? Like, I'm a user, or how would I use this? Or, at the end, if it's not me, if it's a 60-year-old person with an eye problem, how would they go about it? So those were the thoughts that would come to my mind, and that's how I started thinking more about users, more about, like, empathy, and more about just being curious as to what value, what mission, what am I here to solve for? Like, what's my just cause, right? I'm not here to just exist and make things because people have asked me to, but I'm here to prove a cause. And what's my cause, and what's my why do I exist? So I mean, it's just very organic. I try to implement similar things in my all my projects, and that time that role was called functional roles in the projects. And I try to get that thought back to the leadership, where we should be thinking more about users, and not, I mean, I'm not saying not about clients, but also about clients, and trying to figure out that what's that sweet spot that we can hit where our users are happy, are the company is making profit or is making savings. I did work in various industries like technology, life sciences. I've worked in aviation. I've worked in automotive. So it's different industries. I haven't been pretty attached to one, but I think I've done some media as well. So yeah, like if you were to call it, I've done a lot of technology, media, and telecom work in my experience so far.
I see. That's nice. That's nice to hear. Right. So, product designs generally, most of the time brands are very concerned about. So,
Right.
how one should take care of it?
So product design, I think it's not about, see, a lot of people confuse aesthetics with design. And I completely ignore that statement because I don't believe in it. For me, product design is all about how everything comes together and then works for the person who's taking it, works for the user who's using it. So most brands try to focus a lot on aesthetic, a lot on visuals, a lot on, like, how I can make it look more jazzy, how I can make it look more, I don't know, modern or whatever, right? But I think just releasing a smaller MVP before you launch your product in the market would be to just launch the leanest version without any, you know, fluffs that you want to have to. So just prove your theory first that the product works. The product does what it's supposed to be doing. It solves the main thing that I wanted to solve. And once you've done that, that's when you start thinking about, okay, how can I make it more modern, how can I make it more this, because if you look at just from an aesthetic angle, right, I think it would lead you somewhere, but it would be, I don't know, it would be maybe a product that no one will use. So on YouTube, I read about this guy who was talking about this great product. It's called it's a salt shaker. I forget the name. I think it was called Salt, but it's a music player in a salt box, and nobody's ever gonna use a salt, that has music. So I don't know, like, thinking about, am I really solving a problem that's worth solving is also a big part of product design. So yeah, prove your theory. Know there is a valid problem. Know there is a valid market that you can solve it for, and go to that market, interview users, figure out their pain points. And when you're figuring out their pain points, see what they do today, right? See what they do today to handle that pain point, so you also know what their alternatives are, like, how you can play not just in the ecosystem that you're playing but also a larger ecosystem. So I think just banking on your personas and user set and the market, and then figuring out product market fit, make a lean MVP, and then design your product in the leanest design possible, get that verified with the users, and if it clicks, you can have X to, I don't know, 100 iterations of the pure product in different colors, different sorts of things. But I think the first thing that you should look for is not really design in particular, but actually more matter in particular. Like, what am I really building? Is it solving a real problem? Is there a product market fit?
So, will this aspect you're suggesting is backed by data, or it's all the basic gut feel, or a small understanding of the user behavior goes out?
So I am half data, half gut. I and like how popular saying says, if we are going with data, let's go with data. If we are going with opinions, let's go with mine. because
That's right.
because yeah, so I think all of this is and I mean in the Indian market, like, you have access to users. I primarily do not work in the Indian market. My market is primarily US, so it's even more difficult for me to get users. So, back when COVID was not there, we could travel, we could get interviews and everything, but now it's not that possible for us. So again, being in a consulting company, we're trying to figure out what are other options, how do we do that, and I think that's why you should go with, I think, 50-50. That's what I call design thinking. It's about using data as not just data as a raw file format. I think insights from that data, what have you learned, what have you how do you see this projecting in the future, what do you think is the real problem here, like not just using product analyst data, but also using the insights that you get from that data. And then sometimes, if you're launching a product that's zero to and that doesn't work in the market, and anything like that, you don't have data, you can definitely create that data by interviewing people, by talking to them, that oh, if such a product existed, what would you do, right? So there are different ways. And I also believe in gut. Sometimes, i am a I'm a I think I'm like 60% data and 40% gut, because I also know that if I know my users really well and I think like them, I am going to hit it at the place where it needs to be hit.
I mean, this point is rightly mentioned because when you know your customer properly, so any
Yes,
data is there, either it's going to match up or it's going to give you some hint around it, probably what you are saying. So I fully
exactly.
agree that gut, marketers is majorly is about gut only. So
Yeah,
I love the
yeah,
point. I love this
yeah.
point. Coming to that, like, have any some interesting case study to share with us? Some problem and some product problem that you solved and the solution you plan to
Um,
provide?
Again, because I'm working in a consulting company and it's an LLP, I really
Okay,
cannot
I understand.
share any
I understand. Not a
projects
problem.
that I have done.
So
Uh, I mean, I'm sorry, I just don't
it's
have
okay. It's
any
okay.
to
Not
give.
not a good.
Yeah.
So new product is basically. So I'm changing the question.
Mhm.
New product is basically as an outcome of some problem solution, of the previous problem that we were facing. So how to identify or how to get into that kind of scene where we can identify a problem even and then can plan up a product.
Again, I think it's going to come back to the same thing, that it's all about your users. It's all about figuring out where the opportunities lie, what your users want to see. I mean, you as I mean, I would, there's an exercise that a company in US does. Is all they do is they send one email to 10 people every day and say what top 5 problems are, right? And it's such a simple way, right? What are your top 5 problems? What is my top 5 problem for today, right? And that gives you so much data over a period of months. You see what are people missing, right? Like, what are they missing? You can theme it. You can say, oh, while using XYZ, what is your top 5 problems or top 3 problems, right? So you try to actively find these problems, and then also using, I think, AI a little bit, right? Like figuring out, like, how do you understand a person, a user, more, and then give them more personalized content. That's more innovation, right? So you don't just give the same content to Sam and Neerja. You understand that Sam is more fond of videos, but Neerja is more fond of reading articles. So when you come to my site, you differ the content that I see, right? And that's how you kind of innovate within the product space, by understanding products in the way they are, and then what adjacencies or market areas that are around it that I can play around and get more data and give more value to my user. Because I think this is something that's very interesting, because we always talk about, like, you know innovation. And Colgate, for an example. Okay, now if you look at Colgate, there was one toothpaste, Colgate. Now there are 28 variants of Colgate in the market, right? And all of them are great Colgate. So now you've created a confusion for me because of your innovation technique, that which Colgate is best Colgate for me. And you have no way for you to tell me which one should I pick, right? So I think just creating variations of your same product is not innovation. I think creating more value-led features out of your own product is innovation, and trying to see how do you improve the task completion time. A lot of KPIs, right? And I don't know if the audience is familiar, so I'm going to talk about the full forms. Task completion rate, how much time does it take me for complete a task, right? Then I have net promoter score, how much will I promote this website to my friends and family. And then you have other rates, like how much time it took, how much was the bounce ratio. Major or take all of this data together and then solve for that first. Don't just try to create different segments and call it innovation, because that's just going to confuse your user. I mean, they'll be like, I don't know which one to buy, like I'm lost at this point.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think to an extent this has become a trend in the companies, to launch so much of variants, maybe to bring up some kind of parity that they want to have it.
Yeah.
Something.
It is, and it's interesting, but you have to prove what it's worth. You have to tell me, why should I use Colgate A and not Colgate B, right? And if you can tell me that, I will go and do it. But I just do. I mean, and all of them are great. All of them are great.
Right.
So I just don't know which one is the one that's best for me. So if you can really not create different segments of the same product, but try to optimize. I mean, if you look at things, sometimes things are okay. Like, you do not need to change things. Like, a classic example is a pen. Like, it still has the same design that it first had, right? A classic example. We created different types of pens, yes, of course, but when you first think of a pen, that's what comes to your mind, right?
Classic
Something,
one.
the classic one, right? So how do you make your customer realize that this is the core product, and then there are these adjacent things that I will do for you to make your life easier and to make your life better.
There is a follow-up question to it. As you mentioned that
Yeah.
as this is a pen, and when then we have a Pierre Cardin pen also, and then other pens also. So I
Yes.
believe now there is a concept called aspiration, which has also come into the feature. How would you like to comment on this aspect? Managing the aspiration, because watch previously used to be about seeing the time on the hand. Right now, it is not about more about that. It has changed. So your product design definition must have changed around it. So how you would
Yes.
like to address this?
I think a product evolves in its journey. Sometimes,
Uh,
most products evolve in their journey, especially like you said. I think watch is a great example. Watch was supposed to be just this thing where you see time, and then smartwatches came into the picture, right? And then you started tracking your heart rate on your phone. You started doing ECG on your phone. You started doing, different tracking your exercises on phone. So I think, sorry, on your watch, and I think it's imperative for things to happen this way, because see, now I am not creating a watch 1 and a watch 2 and a watch 3. I am taking one watch and I am just constantly making it better, constantly adding software features or hardware features that accentuates that watch, not necessarily create watch 1, watch 2, watch 3, watch 4 view. So I think it kind of binds very nicely to the example that I gave you about Colgate, is that product, that is product innovation, and also in terms of, like, I usually, you will see a lot of people have desktops, right? But if somebody has an iMac, they will keep it in the drawing room, because there is this small thing that you want to show off, right? I have an iMac, like, I'm proud of it. So you're targeting a luxury segment, when somebody's wearing an Omega watch, they want to show off that they're wearing an Omega watch, right? So I think, there's also this factor of kind of looking at your market segment and seeing, what am I really making? Am I really making vitamins, or I'm making painkillers? Like, am I making must-haves, or I'm making just needs and
Yeah,
wants and everything. Yeah. So I think that kind of plays into this here, and I think you should definitely take that into account when you think about whatever product you're building.
that's right. That's right. So, adding to that, so what are the variables which are very much critical in terms of defining that whether this product needs a change or it needs a makeover or it needs a little bit iteration, or like what are the maybe 5, 10 variables you would like to share which are the primary factors, for a product to change a design?
I I think again, I mean, number one, like you and I discussed, it is the user feedback itself, because who's going to give you better feedback than people who are actually using it? Um, I definitely recommend, if you're not launching a zero to end product in the market that doesn't exist, you always have a smaller cohort testing it, so you get feedback fast, and then you make that change and then launch it to the larger audience. But if you were to like optimize your product design or your product features, I think doing these, I mean, again, it could differ for hardware products, it could differ for web products, it could differ for different industries, but I think there's some key things that are common across all is definitely reading your social media posts, right? What your brand is, what are people talking about your brand or your product. So keep an eye on Twitter, because these days, if something happens that is not nice, is on Twitter first before it's anywhere else. So build an engine where you can understand your market from different angles, from Twitter, from Instagram, like, what people are saying, TikTok, like, it's banned now, but yeah, maybe Instagram Reels, right? So a lot of people use your product, and then they do unboxing videos, they do reviews on YouTube, right? So you have so much content out there where you can see what users are saying about your product. And I think it's not about calling a person in a room and telling them, hey, tell me, what do you think about the product, how did you like it? Those questions should be very open ended, like, asking, and I think that's an important skill to have, that you don't ask leading questions, because sometimes what we have in our mindset is that we start lead, do you like this feature or not, right? So the word that I said is like, I did not start with do you dislike this feature, right? So whatever the person hears is what the person mirrors, right? So instead, if you would just say, what do you think about this product, and let them choose whether they like or dislike it, and then give it to you, would be a better option. So don't start with leading questions. So I would say just a couple of things you should do is keep a social media trend, and I'm telling it general industry wide, because there are multiple ways. Some people have digital dashboards where they collect KPIs, and that kind of gives you a trend, and then you use that trend to decide what should I do next. But if that is not there, then I would recommend kind of doing focus groups. Give people something that, that, oh, we are doing a small focus group, would you want to be part of it? And then get that, and they will feel connected to your brand, right? And they will feel that, oh, they want to listen to me, they want to know what I feel about it, right? And then you take all of that data, massage it, slice it, dice it, and then figure out what exactly are the features in a prioritized fashion that my customers are dealing with right now, and then let's start solving for each one of them.
That's very right. That's very right. So what new marketing trends you see in 2021?
I think marketing wise, I mean, again, because I'm not a marketeer, but I just design go to market strategies. I think marketing wise, I do think people have moved on a lot to social media. Like, uh, there are people who don't know how to read, but they know how to create Instagram reels. So, social media has kind of taken like, everybody's on TikTok, from village A to village B. Everybody who has a phone is on TikTok and is making videos. So if they can figure that out and they can create these videos, so I think you have to definitely be more digital and more, tap into these top social tools like Instagram, uh, Facebook not so much anymore, but still yet, because there are some legacy users that continue to use it. You have Instagram Reels, you have an Instagram Marketplace, you have a lot of places where people typically go to. Uh, and another thing that I have seen very recently happening is, very smartly placing similar sort of product ads when you're watching like a movie. Like, this is another thing that I saw, that on Instagram, sorry, on Netflix, if you're watching a movie and there was a product, you could just quickly brand it and say, oh, you know what, this, if you really want to buy this, go here and buy that. So there could be multiple ways to do that, and I'm really, really excited because 2021 has become such a big thing for marketing, because initially marketing was a cost center, right? They were just eating costs. Now marketing is actually generating revenue for you, and that is why stop looking at all of these. There'll be a lot of AR VR marketing happening, because you can't travel, so you will need to do a lot of AR VR modules of your project. There should be a lot of video content, there should be a lot of audio content, there should be a lot of podcasts about for your product. So like, use any digital channel or a medium based on where your project is targeted. Like, if you were to target if you were to target, say, the fashion industry, go to Instagram. But if you were to target some other industry, like I don't know, like maybe something more teaching wise, go to a Byju's, or go to, or like something like that. Like, so figure out like which industry are you targeting, and then figure out how you can just kind of do all of that in their circle.
That's right. That's right. So, community Nirja is recommending more on social media basically, and
Yeah,
low up.
I love, and I am seriously the last person who uses social media a lot, because I like LinkedIn, because it's something that's where I get to read, and I think that's where I can use my mind a lot, like, get to know things.
That's
uh my Twitter is probably just collection of Airtel rants, where I've kept telling them my phone doesn't work, my phone doesn't work. But I do believe that, if you really want to target the millennials, and you want to target, like, look at Misho, very smart. They use WhatsApp, so they got access to all the people who were not going to Amazons to buy things. They were going to a WhatsApp chat saying, I want this, and then they got it, right? So it's
yes.
very smart of you to figure out what is the channel that your user uses today the most, and then market from that angle, right? And don't just kind of put a drone or something that says, hey, buy my product. So just do it a little contextually, and it can work well.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So this is the last question, and then we will have a fireside round with you. The last
Sure.
would be, this is for our my community, and I'm glad to welcome you to that as well as our mentor. And the last question is for the community is how to be a great product manager like you.
I love how you said like you. I don't consider myself great.
No, no,
Believe you
definitely
me,
you
I
deserve
am
that.
learning. We're all learning each day. We're all
That's
learning
right.
each day. I firmly believe you're never the best in anything. There's always more to it, and you will always have opportunities for you to improve on. You will always have things to learn from, because the way technology and market is changing around us, and it's happening at such a great speed. You cannot just do what you always did. You have to do things differently. Otherwise, you will just get stuck into that cycle of doing one thing, getting the same output. You must do things differently. So that's why I think there is no concept of great product managers or best product manager. I think, but if you were to list down like traits of people who are good product managers, number one for me is definitely curiosity. Like, I think you should have that kujli in you to understand ki ye kya hai, ye kyun hai, ye kisne kiya. Like, you need to have all of that in you and say, I really want to understand this. Why is this happening this way? And okay, what are we doing? Who are our users? What are our users saying about this right now? Where is our objective, what is the vision, right? Be curious about things and not just do something because someone told you to do so. So a product manager must be extremely curious. I take that as my number one skill. If I'm not curious, I no matter what resources you give me, they're not going to be useful for me because I won't be curious enough to look at them,
That's right.
right? And the second thing is that having a lot of empathy, and empathy is again a very difficult skill to master, because we sometimes think understanding a user's problem is empathy. No, walking in the user's problem shoes, walking in their shoes, understanding how they go about doing that every day, that is empathy. You empathize with them, you feel the emotions they feel, you feel the small happiness that they see when they get a phone call and it says their son is calling them. You need to just empathize and just kind of be more them. It's like playing a character in a movie. Like you just bond yourself to that character, and then once you do that, you start feeling like them. You start feeling like this is how I would react to it. So I think having that sort of understanding of your users, and you can get that by having curiosity and having empathy together. And the third thing is, I think if you want to be a great product manager, you need to be a self leader. Like you shouldn't just assume that you're the boss of seven people, or eight people report to you. Hey designer, you do that. Hey this one, you do that. I think creating very happy and organic teams, right, where everybody has a say, everybody has an idea, hierarchy does not exist, the best idea wins, whether it came from a person who joined 3 days ago, or who is in just like college, or it came from the VP. Every idea is equal and gets equal importance, and the best idea wins, not necessarily the best title idea wins. And teach your teams. There are two. I keep saying that there are two currencies in the world. There's currency as in money, right? And there's currency as will of people, and we do not take that seriously. Like if you were to really think about will of people, they will throw money and they will work for you because they feel more connected to you. So
That's
make your teams feel a little more meaningful about what they're doing. Like CMO is not just about being the chief marketing officer, but also chief meaning officer. Like how are you giving their life a meaning? Tell them, where am I taking you? Where is this journey leading us? Where will we be when we finish all this, and what's in it for you, right? So and that's what and these companies, they have very low attrition. These companies produce great products. These companies have loyal customers, right? And they have they have a lot of people who want to join them, but they're small size, right? I mean, you look at companies like Basecamp, you look at companies like everybody wants to join Basecamp,
that's
but it's a small company, right? So
right.
I think just having that uh, connection with your team, which is beyond transactional,
Right.
is something very important. And then the last could be the love for data and gut, right? I mean, always question things both ways. Like when you see data, you always look at data. You look at data, you massage it, slice it, dice it, and then you put gut in there. Because if you don't use gut, I think sometimes what happens is users don't really know what they want, right? And that is why gut plays a big picture in product management, where you test a small section of your user base and see, does this work? And if it does, you expand it, and then you keep expanding it until that gut kind of keeps telling you, oh, this is the right thing to do, right? So use a lot of A and B testing. Use a lot of call your users together, give them free things to test out, give them free credentials to test out a website, all of that. So I think just believe in data a lot and gut, and also I think the other thing product managers also need to do is effective time management, because you have so many things to do a day, and you cannot it's not humanly possible to do all of them in a day. So prioritization of your day is very, very important, right? Things that are important should be done. Things that are not important should be either pushed tomorrow or delegated. So I wrote an article on LinkedIn on how you are your own product. It's called the CEO of Me Inc. Right? I am the CEO of my own company, and I am a company, and I am a CEO, I am a CMO, I am a COO, and hence I need to play these roles for myself. And as a COO, I will tell, you know, arranging for samosas for 40 people is not going to earn me anything, and I should delegate it to somebody else, and do something more worthwhile in that time, right?
That's
So
right.
I think, and that article was like a revelation for myself, because I realized, oh my god, I am my own product. I market myself, I go and tell people what I do, I write on LinkedIn, I bring an identity, I want to have a social identity, and then I execute my career in a certain way. I have a vision for where I want to go in my career. So I am the CEO of my own life, right? And I
That's right.
should have the power to hire or fire whoever I want. So so that kind of inspires you to kind of have a more productive life. So just to summarize: curiosity, empathy, great teams, love data and gut together, and then be the CEO, CMO, CEO, CTO, all the C's of your life for yourself for that day.
So amazingly explained. Thank you, Nirja, and it's been an amazing conversation. Final fire round, which we love, and
Sure,
we get to know you
sure.
more about it. So it has to
Uh-huh.
be one word. So be ready for it. So number one,
Okay.
what's your favorite book?
Start with Why by Simon Sinek.
Okay. If you could let anywhere, where it would be?
Prague.
Okay. Your happy moment.
Uh, when I got my first Tetris game.
Okay. Who is your hero?
Uh, like, in what context is this hero?
You take it. Your choice.
Okay,
No hints.
I will take it in professional context. My hero is right now currently Simon Sinek, because I really believe in what he says.
Okay. And who is he?
Simon Sinek is a philanthropist. Yeah, he's a philanthropist. He writes books, and about talks to you about how you can get better versions of yourself, finding out what purpose of your life is, and not do things because they're supposed to be done, but because they assign to a bigger just cause. And companies should work not for profits, like not for money. Money is the fuel.
That's
The
right.
actual thing is something else. So yeah, he's a great author. I mean, all his books. If you, I mean, you should have said your favorite books, and I would have just said his name as the author.
Correct. One thing you can't live without.
I cannot live without reading something every day. Like, I need to read something new every day.
Who am I? The last.
I am I look at myself as a firepower Wonder Woman, because that's the personality I gave myself. Because I think women, in especially in the consulting world, or just in general, the wider services industry and the other corporate industries, have have better channels to you know sh- start talking about the problems they face, get more leadership roles. And I'm a big supporter of not having the whole female and male thing. Like, have a leader, don't have a male leader and a female leader. And I strongly believe in equal gender diversity in your leadership. I believe every girl that you see, and every girl that says that or every girl that is kind of bossy, tell them you're not bossy, you're just assertive, right? So kind of teaching that. So that's what I am. And my mom told me, just you are just this, firepower Wonder Woman and just look yourself at like that, and
Lovely.
then you continue living. But
Lovely.
at the end of the day, I am just a human.
No,
this is all for, like, external talks, but at the end of the day, I'm a plain old human. I get tired, get headaches, I take Disprin, and I
that's,
sleep. That's what I
that's
do all day.
this is an interesting motivation. That's why. So
Yeah.
last, marketing soul, we are trying to build a community of passionate marketers. So what is your thought on this initiative?
I think it's a great initiative, and I think marketeers all around the world should kind of be connected. And I think it's a great forum to be connected on, because the ideas multiply, and when you have an idea, it doesn't just remain your idea. Somebody adds on to that idea, and then somebody else adds on to that idea, and then you start making different things about that thing. You start designing a philosophy, you start learning from each other. And it's not like that if all marketers do what all marketers do, we will get this same results. It's not like that. But just having an understanding of how a marketer thinks. Every marketer thinks in a different manner. Like, I know of a lot of senior marketers in different companies, and I see all of them strategize differently. They strategize according to their company's vision and objectives. So it's not like it will bring some sort of monotony in how the marketing economy works today. But I think it will give people more ideas to connect, and forums to ask questions, forums to just test a theory and say, do you think it's worth enough? Like, just kind of find people you kind of bond with and align
That's right.
with, and then keep doing what you're doing. So
So
I really think it's a great initiative, and just having all the marketeers together would just give you like this major firepower bomb that you can just deploy anywhere in any company.
that's right. That's right. So this was our motto to when we started this community, to learn, network, and grow. So
Yeah, exactly.
right. So
That's
thank you so
beautiful.
much, Neerja, for being with us.
No worries.
It's been an amazing conversation that we had today, and thank you so much
Me
for
too.
joining us.
Me too. I'm sorry I had to reschedule this, but I,
No,
I
it's okay.
really love talking today. So it
Great.
was, thank you, Sam.
Thank you. Thank you,
You've
Sam.
been
Take care.
great.
Bye bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.